The evolution of Philippine education has been shaped by various cultural, political, and social influences across different historical periods. From the indigenous education system of pre-colonial times to the present-day system, education in the Philippines has undergone significant transformations, and here's a chronological overview of its evolution. First, pre-colonial period, before 1521. During pre-colonial period, indigenous and formal education set up. Education during this time was informal, unstructured, and primarily oral. It was passed down through traditions, stories, and practical knowledge needed for daily life. Communities led by elders or tribal leaders like the Datu or Babaylan taught survival skills, agriculture, weaving, fishing, hunting, and the traditions of the ancestors. Also, it was focused on practical skills. Boys were trained in hunting and physical activities, while girls learned household management, weaving, and childcare. There was also a strong spiritual component as elders thought about religious beliefs, rituals, and social norms. Writing systems was introduced. The Baybayin script used by early Filipinos is a reflection of their literacy and cultural complexity before colonial influences. Next, we have Spanish colonial period, 1521 to 1898. Religious education and the rule of the Catholic Church. With the arrival of the Spanish colonizers in 1521, the Catholic Church took control of education, aiming to Christianize the native population. The Augustinians, Jesuits, Dominicans, and Franciscans established schools focusing on religious instruction. Establishment of schools. The first schools were exclusively for Spanish children and the local elite. By 1590s, the first university, University of San Ignacio, run by the Jesuits in Manila, was founded. The University of Santo Tomas or UST, established in 1611, became the oldest existing university in Asia. During Spanish colonial period, there are limited access for Filipinos in education. It was largely restricted to the elite class, with basic literacy taught to some Filipinos. Vocational and agricultural education was emphasized for the indigenous population. And social stratification. The education system reinforced the colonial hierarchy, with instruction primarily in Spanish and limited to the upper classes, while most Filipinos had no access to formal schooling. We have American colonial period, 1898 to 1946. During American colonial period, the introduction of public school system prioritized. The American occupation introduced a secular, democratic, and free public education system in 1901 through Act No. 74. English became the medium of instruction. Where Thomsites served as an American teachers were sent to the Philippines to establish a public school system and teach in English. The education system expanded to include primary, secondary, and tertiary education for a broader segment of the population. Co-education and curriculum changes. Education was extended to girls as well as boys, and the curriculum included liberal arts, vocational courses, and civics in order to promote American ideals of democracy and individual rights. Next, we have Japanese occupation, 1942 to 1945. Education under Japanese control. During the Japanese occupation, the education system was disrupted. The Japanese imposed their own cultural and ideological propaganda, promoting Nihongo, the Japanese language, and emphasizing Asian culture and values over Western influences. Then, we have Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act of 2017. This law provided free tuition and other school fees for students in state universities and colleges, local universities and colleges, and technical vocational institutions. And lastly, we have post-war Reconstruction and the Republic era, 1946 to present. During post-war Reconstruction and the Republic era, the first we have the rebuilding the educational system. After World War II, the Philippines regained independence in 1946. Education became a crucial aspect of nation building. In 1950s to 1970s, the expansion and reforms. Educational reforms in 1950s and 1960s focused on expanding access to education. The Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, or Republic Act No. 4670, was enacted in 1966 to improve the welfare of teachers. Martial law and educational shift, that was 1972 to 1986. During the martial law period, under Ferdinand Marcos, the educational system was used as a tool for promoting government propaganda. The 1973 Constitution and the Educational Act of 1982 centralized education policy and emphasized vocational training, but education also became politicized. And we have post-EDSA education. After the People War Revolution in 1986, democratic reforms led to renewed efforts to make education accessible and aligned with global standards. The 1987 Constitution guaranteed the right to education for all Filipinos. Recent reforms and challenges. First, we have K-12 Reform 2013. One of the most significant recent reforms was the implementation of the K-12 program, which extended basic education from 10 to 12 years old. Kindergarten plus 6 years of elementary, 4 years of junior high school, and 2 years of senior high school. This brought the Philippines in line with global educational standards and focus on technical vocational skills for employment. Then, we have Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act of 2017. This law provided free tuition and other school fees for students in state universities and colleges, local universities and colleges, and technical vocational institutions. Challenges during recent reforms. The Philippine education system continues to face challenges such as overcrowded classrooms, a shortage of teachers and resources. Another, we have low student performance in global assessment. Example, we have PISA. And difficulties in implementing the K-12 program effectively. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these issues, forcing schools to shift to online learning, which revealed a lack of digital infrastructure and internet access for many students. Thank you and God bless everyone.